You ever come back from vacation, barely awake, suitcase in hand, and find out your whole life got stolen while you were gone? Yeah, that happened to me. I'd just stepped off a long-haul flight from Thailand, still smelling like jet fuel, when some guy in a dusty county suit met me on my own front porch and told me, "I'm sorry, sir, but according to this signed deed, the ranch is no longer yours." Let that sink in a second. 17 years building this place, and I'm standing there blinking in the Texas sun, watching strangers move their boxes into my kitchen. All I could manage was, "What do you mean it's not mine? I'm Michael Whitaker. I own this land." But the man just nodded, gentle as a funeral director, and told me the sale was processed while I was away by my homeowners association. Or more specifically, by my personal nemesis, Karen Mitchell, the HOA president. Karen, the same woman who once filed a noise complaint because my horses smelled too natural during a windy spring. Karen, who banged on my door last Thanksgiving demanding I repaint my barn because it clashed with her beige palette. Now she'd sold my whole ranch out from under me. I dropped my bag. No, this is a mistake. This is a bad joke. But what I didn't know then, what would take a federal investigation to uncover, was that Karen forged my signature, faked a power of attorney, and sold my ranch to a developer with plans to bulldoze it for a golf course. And that was just the beginning. Next morning, I got a court order taped to my gate, vacate the property or else. 2 days. I was getting evicted from my own home, and the ink on my plane ticket wasn't even dry. Let me back up a sec, just so you see how nuts this got. I'm Michael, 52, ex-rodeo widower, raised my boy here with Alice. God rest her, who passed 5 years back. Karen Mitchell. She's early 60s, pearl white SUV, vanity plate, LUVHOA, acts like she invented the zip code. Her grown son Travis is always around Bluetooth glued to his ear. Thinks 1 semester of law school makes him Judge Judy. And then there's Sheriff Doyle, good man, known me half my life. Slow talker, says HOA drama is reality TV for the bored and bitter. 3 weeks back, my doc said I needed a break. No calving, no breeding, so I took 2 weeks in Thailand. I even told Karen, trying to be neighborly. She smiled that tight-lipped way of hers and said, "Safe travels. Michael will keep an eye on your property." I see now what she meant, perfect timing time to rob me blind. While I was gone, she filed papers, forged a power of attorney, and listed the ranch as a private sale to some Austin developer. It passed God knows how right under the county's nose. That explained why the folks now living in my house, Brandon and Melissa, looked at me with real sympathy, like I was some wandering ghost. I didn't blame them. I blamed Karen. So I stormed down to the HOA administrative cottage, which is a shed, with delusions of grandeur, and found Travis behind the desk, Bluetooth blinking. "Where's your mom?" I growled. "She's not available, Mr. Whitaker. Did she sell my ranch?" He just shrugged and told me, "You should speak to a lawyer." That smug little smirk nearly got him decked. And then he said, "Maybe next time don't leave your doors wide open, cowboy." He thought he was clever, but he didn't know. I had trail cameras, motion sensors, cloud backup every step. Karen took on my property was filmed and time-stamped. I pulled up the footage. There's Karen 3 days after I left, rifling through my desk. 2 days later, Travis leaving with a briefcase. I had proof. Didn't matter. Court said I had 48 hours to pack up. So I grabbed my late wife's locket, my son's old saddle, a few clothes, and moved into my horse trailer. That's when Sheriff Doyle showed up, boots in the dust hands in his belt, asking if I had anything solid. I handed him the flash drive, watched his eyes narrow. Well, now, this might change everything. And just as we're talking, a black SUV screeches up. Karen leaps out, waving a clipboard. "You're trespassing, Michael. This is no longer your property." Doyle looked at her deadpan as always. "I am the police, Karen." She lunged at me, screaming, swinging that clipboard like a sword. Doyle caught her mid-swing, dead calm. "Karen Mitchell, you're under investigation for fraud, forgery, and trespassing. You have the right to remain silent." She bolted, nearly mowing down my flower pots, and tore out of the driveway, sirens wailing behind her neighbors, peeking from their windows. I stood there, clutching the flash drive, heart pounding, mind reeling. Sheriff Doyle just grunted, "Guilty people run." And Karen ran. By sunset, her face was on every scanner in the county, her son's house staked out by deputies. But the real fun began when the developer himself, Grant Dalton, pulled up the next morning with a construction crew. "I have legal documents," he said. "You were scammed," I told him. "Your precious paperwork was forged. The sheriff's investigating. Good luck explaining this to your investors." His face fell, and a few minutes later his crew peeled out of the driveway. That same day, I got a shaky phone call from Lindsay Marks at the county land office whispering that a power of attorney came across her desk signed by me, but something felt off. She sent me the document, and yeah, the signature was a bad fake. Pieces started falling into place. Then the story took another turn. Karen's SUV was found abandoned near Lake Conroe. No, Karen, just her purse and an empty Red Bull in the seat. Did she run? Did she stage it? Sheriff Doyle looked at me and said, "You might want to keep your head down. She couldn't have done this alone." He was right. She had help. That night, digging through old HOA meeting recordings, I found Gold, Karen, and Travis whispering before a board session. "Once he's gone, file everything. I want 10% mom. Busted." I sent the audio to Doyle. Hours later, he called me down to the station. There behind the glass was Travis, sweaty, pale, defeated. It was her idea, he mumbled. Just then, an officer rushed in. Karen's credit card got flagged at a motel outside Albuquerque. Not alone either. She was with Grant Dalton, the developer. So there it was, a full-blown conspiracy. HOA queen and developer running a scam ring targeting widows, old-timers, absentee owners, using Travis and the HOA as a front. The FBI came knocking, led by Agent Nina Colby, badge clipped to her belt, eyes sharp as a hawk. She said, "We've been watching Dalton a while. Your case might bring him down." I handed her everything, emails, the guest log from the country club where Karen and Dalton met 2 weeks before I left, bank transfers, all of it. They got a warrant, opened a safety deposit box under Karen's fake business name, and there it was, a trove of forgeries, digital copies, and an audio recording with Karen hissing, "If he doesn't drop it, we make him drop it." People vanish all the time in Texas. Then that was enough to bury them. Federal charges, media circus, HOA members quitting in droves. But then, as the sun rose on my restored land, I found a letter on my doorstep. No stamp. No return, scrawled in red ink. "This isn't over." Sheriff Doyle said it's her handwriting. And sure enough, the next day, a new suit rolled up in a fancy sedan representing some shell company with a dusty water rights clause trying to stall my title restoration. We dragged Travis back in, no more smirk, just scared, and he handed us a folder with names, internal memos, the works. They'd targeted a whole list of neighbors. The judge froze all development-issued indictments, and the FBI moved in. But threats kept coming, notes on my truck, warnings to keep Travis quiet, red ribbons tied to my dog's collar. A final message, Chapter 7. We'll be your last. Turns out Karen made bail, under an alias vanished, and Dalton tried to slip out of the country, almost made it, but the feds netted him in Nevada. I left the ranch for a while, let the feds use it as bait, hid out in a friend's cabin, tried not to look over my shoulder. Travis disappeared for a bit. Then a miracle, a deputy found him zip-tied in a crashed sedan near the state line, alive but shaken. That was the final straw. Dalton's email account got hacked wide open. There was the whole game plan. Every name, every scam, plain as day. In 48 hours, federal charges dropped on all of them. Karen, Dalton, Travis, and a dozen more running the same scheme across half the country. They went to jail. My ranch, my name, my life restored. The sun set behind the hills, and I sat on the porch, Rusty's head in my lap, breathing the clean Texas air. Sometimes the bad guys don't get away. Sometimes the good guys hold their ground. And sometimes, just sometimes, the ranch wins. Now, before you go, tell me, what would you have done? Should I have fought or just walked away? Drop your thoughts down below. Let's hear where you stand on justice, on land, on community. Because if this story taught me anything, it's that you never really know your neighbors until you tell them no.